Hello there, beautiful dear soul ones across the planet. Thank you for tuning into this video. This is a video of a series called Conscious Conception. And in this video, we're going to talk about abortion, miscarriage, and forced intercourse. So first off, if you have been watching the series and perhaps you just landed into this video, we have been talking about conscious conception, how to consciously conceive, and what that may be like, and as well how soul contracts work when we are consciously conceiving, when we are starting to make those plans in our in-between life before we are incarnated or during this lifetime as we are moving through it. And so through all of this talk arises, but what about what happens during abortion and miscarriage and forced intercourse? And all of these experiences can be different for everyone and have different meanings, right? I do want to just first off say, if any of these things have happened to you, my deepest love and compassion goes out to you. It is not an easy challenge of a lifetime to work through. In this particular lifetime, I have not experienced any of those things, but I do have soul memory of other timelines and lifetimes that I have experienced those things. And I have worked a lot in my one-on-one sessions with women who have experienced these things. And in those sessions, often, especially with miscarriage and abortion, the soul of that child or that of the fetus, of the soul, that soul is still connected to that particular woman. It's still in her auric field, if you will, in her awareness and consciousness. For a lot of times, women do not do a clearing ritual after abortion or miscarriage, and it is just so important not only for the soul to be able to detach and move on, if you will, but also for the woman to detach from the situation and able to transmute that experience into purification and transmute it into a different essence, so that she may pluck the lessons out of it, right? And by doing a ritual or a closing or separation ceremony or sacred separation ceremony, it gives a sense of closure, a sense of purification, a sense of harmonization, and just, we're not forgetting what happened, but we're putting in that experience in a very nice place and a shelf where it is not locked away, and it is also not super present, but it's there within our sphere in a very balanced, harmonized way that gives rest to the soul, both of the mother to be at that moment and the child to be at that moment. And so some may say, okay, I made a soul contract, and then I went and did an abortion. Did I do something wrong? Or was it the right thing to do? I was young or I was older at that moment in time, or after abortion, you might not be so sure, right? And what was the lessons? And it's different for everybody, but all I can say is that perhaps it was for you to go through an abortion specifically. That was your contract. You never had a contract for birthing, or perhaps you do have a contract for birthing different souls later in your life, but that specific contract wasn't even a contract for birthing, but it was an experience that you wanted to have an abortion so that you could experience it, to go through whatever you needed to go through, whether it was a self-realization, an expansion, it helped you to change your life around, or it may have helped you to help others. Perhaps now you are helping other women as abortion counselor, for example, right? So those are some of the experiences you may have had. Another one is also that we may have had the contract, but we decided to break the contract. We decided we no longer want it. And we can consciously break that contract, and we will see that that could lead to a miscarriage, right? We can also unconsciously not want to break that contract, not want the child to be. And if we're unconsciously and consciously continuously thinking, I do not want this child, I do not want this child, then it is very possible for you to cause your own miscarriage, which really is you consciously or unconsciously and or breaking that soul contract at the moment in time. You know, you have that power. You really do. So we want to be mindful. We really do want the child. You know, there might be old stories in our head that are that could cause a miscarriage. Like, for example, you have a fear of having a miscarriage because your mother had many miscarriages, and you keep on thinking about miscarriages, or you may have had a miscarriage before. So that thought, the essence of miscarriage is continuous in your head, and what you are putting out there, what you are thinking, what you are feeling, you're creating, and thus you could create that miscarriage yourself, and subconsciously or unconsciously break that contract yourself due to a fear that you're not facing, right? And on the other hand, maybe it was your experience to have a miscarriage. There was something about that. Maybe it was a lesson you needed to learn. Maybe it was to bring more attention to your health. Maybe it was so that you could have that experience. Maybe it was, this also often it can happen, that the father was not the right partner. And so that contract broke, because in another video we talked about the Holy Trinity, and there are four aspects of conceiving, which is not only the mother, the father, and the soul to be, and then there's the divine timing, divine alignment, right? And if one of these things aren't working, then any of these people could nullify the contract, including the soul. Maybe it wasn't even got to do anything with you. Maybe it was that soul who wanted to come through no longer does not want to come through for whatever X reason. One of the reasons could be that soul decided that in the environment was not the environment he or she wanted to come through. And maybe that soul decides to wait a few years, that you have changed your environment, or perhaps you've changed your partner. Or perhaps that soul just says, no, actually, I'm, going to be birthed on the North Pole now. I changed my mind. And that's okay too. So there are so many different aspects and unique situations and experiences within abortion and miscarriage. And bringing our awareness to this, bringing it into meditation, contemplation, or connecting to a spiritual healer or guide that can guide you through it if you have not unlocked those abilities yet, is to really see, what was the reason, where was it coming from, is there something that I need to heal, what was the reflection of this, what are the lessons of this, And of course, most of all, to give it peace, to give it a closure, to give it a space, to heal it, to let that, because that causes a blockage, that experience that is recorded in your cells, in the cellular memory of your being, of your womb space, is recorded there. And if it's stagnant, if it hasn't been resolved, it starts to cause tension. It starts to become dense. It starts to become stagnant energy and creates a blockage that could be expressed through various areas of your life. And then the last part is about forced intercourse. We could have a baby being birthed through forced intercourse, and that psychologically cannot always be very easy for that person in that experience. So again, going back to conscious conception, maybe it wasn't even part of your story. Maybe it was a story of the soul that wanted to come in, and that soul needed to come through a very rough experience to be who she or he is going to be in this world. Maybe he or she needed that particular frequency to come through, or maybe he or she was so strong that he or she could still come through with that type of frequency. And maybe it's something that you chose to go through because you were going to help other women who have gone through that. There are so many different aspects of that type of experience, and again, my heart goes out to those who have had to go through such an experience, and I send a blessing. May no soul have to go through that. But even though it does happen, and to give it a space, to give it a place in your heart and your being, to give it rest, to set a ceremony, to give it purification so that you can lift it up with love and gratitude back to the light. And some of you who may hear that, who have gone through that experience, may be like, wow, it might trigger you, but at the end of the day, it's all just energy, and energy just wants to be balanced and purified, and that experience was there for something, so we are able to consciously plug into those experiences, and afterhand, because perhaps during those times you were not conscious of the conception, or you may have not been conscious of the whole experience, but after the fact we can still look back with our consciousness and awareness right now, right here, and see what was going on there, why was it, what is the story, and what is the story, so I can release it and let it go, right? And I guess what just feels to come through right now is just a loving prayer for those of you who have gone through any of these experiences. Urua satiana urua kiata ayana siti ia karua satiana ariasu kuatiariasa ania siata urua siti iana aria satiana a ukoaria sayana a su kutuku a kiana karia sakati eana a urua tayana isek kiariana su kutu akiana aria su tuayana. Sending lots of love and light your way. Have a wonderful day, and thank you for tuning into this video. Bye now.